Right, so welcome back to a new video. If you're new around here, my name is Dara Jordan, and by the title of the video, at this moment in time, I don't know whether I have COVID. I've shown symptoms, but I don't know whether I actually have it. Hey guys, welcome back to a bit of a different video. Today, as you can see by the title, I'm going to be going through my COVID-19 experience. So, on the 1st of October 2020, I was notified that I was a close contact. It wasn't confirmed that I had received COVID-19, but it was a strong possibility. So from the 1st of October, I decided to isolate. Again, no symptoms, no nothing. It's a really, really strange experience because you're walking around in your house, locked in a room, kind of going, why am I locked in here? That was Thursday evening. Friday, locked away, felt great. Then Saturday, started a bit of lots of energy. I was like, okay, maybe I'm just from being stuck in the house and eating crap. Maybe that's why I'm not feeling great. Saturday progressed and I started feeling worse and worse. So kind of energy levels started dropping. I kind of had this kind of hungover feeling, kind of just a slight dehydration. And then I started getting a fever, really cold and then really hot. And then I was like, I'm not feeling good. And then obviously I had the COVID-19 tracker app. So I was like, let me go fill this out. Filled it out and I was like, you need to go and get tested because you're showing symptoms. At that point, I still wasn't certain whether it was just from sticking around in the house eating crap or whether I actually was showing actual symptoms of COVID-19 because it felt very much like a bad body cold. So I rang West Doc and I got put through to the receptionist. She said, okay, you're showing us enough symptoms, a nurse will ring you back. An hour later, I got a call from a nurse. This is about 10 o'clock at night. Nurse rang me back, she asked me similar sort of questions and then she's like, okay, a doctor's gonna ring you. Because again, I wasn't put down as a close contact at this point, so it wasn't certain that I had COVID. Doctor rang me back nearly 11 o'clock at night, and they were like, you need to go get tested. So I got given a time for the following day, Sunday, at Galway Airport. So the following morning / afternoon, the person I suspected that I had COVID and passed it on to me, or could have possibly passed it on to me, had tested positive. So that just increased the probability exponentially. So it was about Sunday, about 3 p.m, went down to the testing centre, drove up, you get given your little pack with your plastic bags and your notice of what's going to happen next, which you'll see as clips. So I'm now just up the road from it. I'm 15 minutes early. A little bit nervous now, not gonna lie. Dots are fogging up because, mask and all that crack, but you're gonna drive in now. Hiya, test at 4:20, Dara Jordan. Yeah. Great, thanks mate. And then you go into the test centre and as you can hear by the audio, which you'll hear me getting it, but the one swabbed on the back of your throat and up your nose, it was quite uncomfortable, as you'll hear. Yeah.
So have you had this done before there?
No, I have not.
So I take a swab down where your tonsils are.
Yeah.
And we take a swab in the nose to the back of the nose.
Yeah.
Okay? Be all done in about 10-15 seconds.
Okay.
The nose is a wee bit uncomfortable, but it doesn't hurt. Okay?
Yeah.
So if you open up nice and wide for me and keep saying ah. You're breathing through your mouth, okay? Doing really well. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Done.
Okay.
That's it.
Thanks.
Well done. So you get your results in 2 to 3 days, okay?
Okay.
So just continue to isolate while you're...
Well, waiting.
Yeah, just presume you have it until you know otherwise. You
Okay.
can text or phone call, alright?
That's great, thank you.
Good to go there.
Thanks mate, have a good day. Oh my god. Test was done, drove home and just continued to isolate. And then Monday continued, still same feeling, really low energy, kind of like just a hangover sort of feeling, just dehydration. Even though I'm drinking liters of water, cannot shake this kind of dehydration feeling. Never lost smell or taste at any point up until then, or at all to be honest. Then as Monday progressed, still felt crap, still had the shivers, whatever. And then Monday around 5 p.m, my GP rang me, quite frantically said, Darry, you know you have COVID, you need to go isolate. And I was like, I had been isolating for 3 days. And he was like, okay, thank God. I said, were you out partying? I was like, no, I was not partying. He was asked me a good few questions about what I've been doing. I've been isolating since Thursday evening. He asked when my symptoms started, which was kind of Saturday. He was like, well, 48 hours beforehand, you're going to notify everybody that you've been in contact with. Fortunately, I had a very small pool of people that I'd been surrounded by, so my contact tracing list would be quite small. Tuesday, I actually got a little bit better. I actually wasn't as low energy. The constant like buzzing in my head wasn't as bad. I'm asthmatic, and my chest would kind of go through phases of kind of like coughing and not coughing. Wasn't too bad. Then Wednesday morning, I was quite frightened because I had a conversation over the phone with my mother, because we obviously live in the same house, and I became out of breath and I couldn't regain my breath. I was very short of breath, and obviously, like I said, being asthmatic, I was slightly concerned. Right, so it's October 7th. My symptoms have worsened. I'm out of breath when I'm speaking. I was getting nervous, which is exasperating it. Waiting to call back from the doctor. I don't know what's going to happen next, but yeah, I'm really nervous. I'm really scared. Really scared. I'll keep you updated, I suppose. So I rang my GP, and he said go into A&E. So he rang ahead to A&E, and obviously to transport me, it was a side issue just because it's a little bit dangerous if I drive, because if I get into a collision or whatever, I can't get out and interact with people. So fortunately, living at home, Dad had the van, so Dad in the back of the van, I was in the back of the van, Dad drove me into A&E. I had to be put in glove, face shield, mask, back of his van, and driven and dropped at A&E. They walked me through the normal entrance. I was put into a self-isolation room. The nurses came and did a full run over on me, checked my blood oxygen levels, did a scan of my lungs, did all my bloods, and I was just sitting there for hours really because I had to isolate. After about 4 or 5 hours after they'd done all the tests, they came back in and went, here, everything actually looks okay, you should be fine, so you're good to go home. But just keep an eye on yourself and make sure you're just not moving around too much, because you know, we don't know how this is going to affect you. So I was fine. Dad came back in, got back in the back of the van, and Dad drove me home. So Thursday, again, still isolating, still feeling like, still not feeling right, still feel like a bad body cold, but wasn't as bad as Wednesday. Now for context, the entire time, I was very fortunate living at home that my parents would bring me food, leave it outside my door. I would then, when they walk away, I would open the door, take the tray and eat it, and then leave it back outside once I was finished. Which is a really strange experience. It's very similar to being a prisoner. Anyway, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, conditions and my symptoms started to lessen, started to feel better. And then realistically by Sunday, I think everything fairly well passed. I think personally, by how I was feeling, I would have passed a COVID test if I got tested on Sunday, but you have to write it out till the following Thursday. So I did my full 2 weeks of quarantining, and that was realistically it. It was a strange experience, to say the least. I definitely was scared at points, which you'll see by clips of what I'm sharing right now. Yeah, it's just like a very bad body cold. I suppose possibly the Wednesday, looking back, was just me getting very nervous, a bit anxious. Because being slightly asthmatic, I was concerned about my lungs, but I was absolutely fine. There was realistically not a point where I was not going to be okay. My heart rate was quite high, but my body was working hard fighting against it. Well, from my own personal experience, I can definitely say that COVID isn't a myth. Again, I suppose I kind of walked through life with a bit of an ignorance of, I'm young, I'll be fine. But again, it was like, as you can see, it's a scary enough experience. You don't know how it's going to affect you, and it affects everyone very differently. So like, again, we're now level 5 lockdown. Comply with all the lockdowns. Yeah, comply with all the lockdown, wear your mask, and just general hygiene, you know what I mean? Just keep yourself right, because you're responsible for your own health and well-being. You know, you can't depend on everyone else, so just be safe and just comply with all the regulations. Fortunately, due to our line of work, I did work from home, still do work with clients, do Zoom calls. I was napping a lot in the middle of the days, which wasn't nice, and it was very low energy, but fortunately I was still able to work fairly well all the way through quarantine. So it didn't really slow down the pace of the business considerably, fortunately. I suppose you need to ring your GP first and give your symptoms. You then have to follow the processes. They'll ask you all your symptoms, and then they'll text you a date, a time, you go down to the testing centre. You can drive or walk up. They have a walk-in part and they have a drive-in part. You go through, you wait to be seen, they drive up, and then they put a swab on the back of your throat and up your nose. And then within 30 seconds, you're done your test. There's nothing really more to that. So then if you're negative, they'll text you out and let you know that you don't have COVID. If you're positive, you get a phone call from either your GP or a person at contact tracing. Then the following day, you'll get a call from contact tracing asking you questions about where you contracted or where you think you contracted it. Then the following phone call is to get a list of all your close contacts, and you have to give, before 48 hours of your symptoms, you have to give all the people you interacted with in that time period. Yeah, so I was very certain I hadn't passed on to my family, but I still obviously had to quarantine. So from Thursday to Saturday, Thursday to Thursday, 2 weeks, I quarantined. My biggest concern was passing on to my family because, like I said in the video, my parents both have weak lungs, so we were very stringent on making sure we weren't interacting with each other. But yeah, my biggest concern was passing on to them because I think probability-wise I was going to be fine, but actually passing on to them could have been a bit more dangerous. So that was my kind of biggest concern throughout the whole process, making sure we didn't come in contact in any way. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit different, but I do think this is a pretty impactful piece of content because I know every day we see the numbers of cases and deaths internationally, but you don't actually hear the stories. You don't hear from a first person perspective of what the experience is like from start to end. So I hope it was educational in some aspect and you got some value with it. And if you enjoyed it, share it around, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions, leave them down below. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you have regarding the process. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Good night, Relive.